to Knit One, Part 2. Episode 142. 42.
Is it 142?
I think so.
I'm Sheila, also known as Sheila D37.
And I'm Wendy, also known as Penny Winnie. And if this is your first time watching, thanks for checking us out. And if you're a return viewer,
thanks for coming back each week. We are recording on Tuesday.
Yes, this is our new day.
New recording day, which hopefully will work out well.
Yeah, I think it will. This is good. We won't have to be like
worried about what time I'm working till.
Yes. So I'm really excited about that.
We may have to squeeze appointments because I only have 2 days to do appointments now because I'm working full time.
We'll work.
I was thinking about it this morning, getting up, because all of a sudden I realized I had to take Zachary for labs. He reminded me, actually. That.
And because last time everybody wanted to know what you were wearing, I am wearing a Trillion. I'll show you what it looks like.
Now, is that hand spun?
This is hand spun. This is Highland Handmaids. BFL silk, I believe, in the Man in Black colorway.
Oh, nice.
And this is Trillion, so you can see.
And I am wearing a store-bought cashmere scarf that my sister-in-law gave me.
That's like woven. It's really
woven,
pretty. It's like a herringbone hat.
Yeah, and it's already got a pull, but that's okay. So
let's pull it back. That's what I do.
It's all right.
So now I can't make this look good again.
We're at my house, which can get a little cold because we keep the thermostat.
It's not that cold out today, though.
It was chilly. It was nippy. It's actually quite unseasonably warm, I think.
Yeah, no, I almost walked to school yesterday because it was so warm. I could have, and I just wore this to school. And you know, it was funny. I got out of the car and it was perfectly warm, but when I stood in the school, it's like shadowed and it was cold when you weren't in the sun. Yeah. So, shout outs. We're doing a busting your stash type knit along where you knit from stash.
At least 6 months old, which
I guess 6 months old.
I wouldn't fall into that category because I'm knitting from stash less than a month, although some of it's more than 6 months.
This is either 2 or 3 years old, so.
Well, my cotton is...
everything in my stash is old.
My cotton is maybe a month or 2, but my DMC floss is more than a year.
See? So you're bushing.
Some of it is.
Bushing.
You're
busting
some of it is.
A stash.
And then I was thinking about what I was going to knit next. Of course, I have a whole list of things that I want to knit. And I was thinking about Steve from Dramatic Knits yarn. You know this?
The lace.
Yeah, but what are you knitting with?
Semille.
And I'm like, well, that's not that old.
Oh, that isn't.
See, now,
that
the
might
good
be
thing
6 months old, though.
Not mine.
I don't know.
Mine is, and I just purchased it for Thanksgiving.
Oh, so no.
He was doing that sale. But, not that I can actually qualify for the contest.
When have we ever really knit along in our own knit alongs? Like, hardly ever.
Yeah, no, I don't
I'm
think
doing
so.
it right now with this. So that's happening, and we're doing 2 book reviews at the end of this show, and we will be running a contest to win a copy of those electronic books from Cooperative Press for both different books. So check that out.
Doing a review next week of 2 different books.
Yeah.
2 other books.
No, we're going to do 1 per week because those are bigger books.
Oh, all right.
Like, I only squeezed in the Hank and Gracie book because it's pretty... In terms of the knitting content,
right,
small.
Yeah.
So,
mine, all right. I wasn't sure. That's
also,
fine.
I forgot to tell Cooperative Press, so we're not on their blog list for the 2 that we're doing today, but I will tell them for the ones that are coming up.
Okay. So she goes first.
Oh yeah. So on the needles, the thing that I'm working on right now is the Fuse cardigan by Veronik Avery, and I have to tell you. This is turning out to be a little bit like that Jared Flood shawl that I hated.
I can't think of the name of that shawl.
Rock. It had something to do with Rock Island.
Oh, yeah.
If you've watched the show long enough, you will know that I knit a shawl by Jared Flood.
Her and Jared Flood don't get along.
No, because I'm just going to tell you this. Like, I'm going to tell you, every time I knit a pattern that's designed by Jared Flood, halfway through the pattern, I'm like, why am I knitting it this way? This is stupid. I don't know what it is about his, like, the way his brain works to knit, but his techniques are always, like, the last thing that I would ever do, and there's always, like, an easier way. And the thing that I did is I did Rock Island shawl, and I had to knit a strip of lace. At least this isn't lace. really.
Well,
it's
it's
textured,
not far
but it's
yeah.
not lace. I did knit a strip of lace and lace weight that was like 10 miles long, and then pick up stitches and knit the shawl upward. And I realized after I started doing that I could have just reversed the pattern and knit it backwards, and it would have been so much easier, and then knit the edging on, and it just would have been, because I don't know about you, but going back and forth on 16 stitches starts to drive me a little crazy after a while.
Now, Jared Flood didn't design this.
No, Jared Flood's Brooklyn Tweed distributed the pattern.
Which is kind
but
of
it's
funny.
designed by Veronik Avery, so I was like, oh my gosh. So Veronik Avery, I don't know.
Yeah, but
there's a good reason for it.
It was distributed by Brooklyn Tweed, which kind of...
which just made me like, another time! Yeah, I know. Seriously,
so
what
it's
the
loosely
heck?
related to Jared Flood.
Brooklyn Tweed Wool People, Volume 2. Whoops.
She just turned on Surrey.
Winter 2012. That is who distributed this. But the design itself, Fused Cardigan, is by Veronik Avery. And I enjoyed knitting it. I have 2 sleeves done. I was going to call this my project half done, but it's really not halfway done. So I have knit 2 sleeves.
I'd say third at least.
Yeah, I think a third. And the sleeves were interesting and fun. And after I figured out how to do the increases, pro tip on the sleeves. This is a traveling lace pattern.
I think you just threw your sleeve.
No, it's right here.
Oh, okay. It sounded like it fell off the chair.
Pro tip on the sleeves for this pattern. It looks like you're just knitting straight up and down columns, but this lace pattern travels, I think it travels over every like 5 stitches or something. So you can see it better here, how it's like traveling.
Now, the traveling doesn't have anything to do with the increases on the sleeves, or
it doesn't. It travels without the
Okay.
increases, so it makes increasing difficult because even when you're not increasing, the pattern is very slowly moving. It's very slowly moving to one side. So I had to really pay attention to do the decreases. All that the pattern really does is say increase. Actually, and the pattern suggests that you increase on a row when you have yarn overs, when you're doing yarn overs. And I found that to be really difficult to do because sometimes you had to do a yarn over and then increase right next to it. And it messed everything up. So what I did is I increased on row 4 of the pattern, which is a knit row. And that just made it a lot easier because I didn't have to figure out how that increase was going to affect the rest of the pattern stitches because it was all on a knit row. And then when I came to the next row, I dealt with the pattern on a base of knit stitches. So it just made it easier. So that's my number 1 tip, to do that. Number 2, it's a pattern where every yarn over is matched by a following knit 2 together. So if you add a yarn over at the beginning of the row, if you get to the end of the row and you need to do a yarn over, you can only do a yarn over if there are enough stitches that follow in the pattern to do knit 2 together. So you have to like pay attention to that because it's so easy to keep going. If you don't, then you will get an increase that instead of the sleeve going like this, my sleeve went like that the first time I did it. And the second time I knit from it, it was a little easier to do. You can see how the increases go. That'll all be hidden, on the bottom of the sleeve. Right. So it's not like it's going to stand out. I had read in somebody's pattern notes, and I had thought this myself when I was knitting it, that it probably would have been easier to go ahead and increase 2 stitches and just knit increasing selvage, maybe have 2 or 4 stitches up the inside where you did all your increases in. But I'm not sure even if that would have helped too much because of the way that the lace travels. So anyway, I'm doing that, and then I have to knit a strip of this, and I have to go, it's a long amount. When I saw it, I did this little corner thing. This is a corner. It's knit and garter stitch. I had to knit this like 7 times. I don't know if I'm just stupid or I just don't like read the way that she described it easily, and it could be either one. Like, it's not like she described it wrong. It's just like I could not understand it the right way.
Did you read it out loud? Sometimes when you read it out loud,
I did. Where was it that it said? Knit 14, wrap and turn. Knit until 2 stitches remain before the last wrap stitch, wrap and turn. I kept somehow doing that wrong. Like, I was wrapping the wrong one. I don't know. I had to, like, keep doing it. I ripped it out, like, 5 times. Fortunately, it's just a little thing. And then one time I had accidentally only cast on it's a provisional cast on. You can see. I do it by crocheting. Sheila taught me this one. I crochet a little thing, and then I pick up stitches in the bottom of the crochet so that I can undo it and zip it off at the end. But for the one time when I screwed up, I had only cast on 15 stitches, so I got it all done, and I'm like, why is this not working? Oh, 15 stitches. So I don't know. I think it's probably just me not... I think she just maybe writes it in a way that my brain doesn't think. So I had trouble with that. And then I saw work bottom band. Maintain, salvage, and garter stitch. Work rows 1 through 4 of ridge pattern a total of 89 times. I was like, oh my God. So I've done it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 13 times. So like only 80 more times. 86 more times. Is that right?
No,
76 more times. And then apparently...
Somebody will be snoozing soon.
Then apparently I'm going to work another corner. And then I'm going to pick up all the stitches. I have to pick up 180 stitches. And then I will begin knitting. So, it's not so bad. I don't really mind. I'm one of those people that doesn't really mind picking up stitches that much. Although I'm picking them up off of a garter salvage, and I did wonder if it would be better to have slipped all of these stitches
like this, so that you can pick it up.
So that it would be easier to pick up. But
the only problem is, I think if you did that, you might be leaving yourself open to a hole.
Because of the way, obviously I'm going to assume that the designer knows why she did this kind of a salvage, so I'm not messing with it, but I hope I'm not sorry when I pick up the stitches. I hope I'm not like, man, I should have slipped. So, anyway, that's that. I'm doing it in Reynolds Review, which is merino, superwash merino, I think. It's a very high twist, multiple ply. It's very springy. And this is what the ridge looks like. It's hard to see. There we go. And then the ridge is like the trim. You can see it on this cuff too. That's the ridge. And then there's this like column lace with the open work. It's going to be really pretty when it's done. And I don't really hate, working across 16 stitches with worsted weight yarn, doing something that's basically decreasing and increasing, there's no yarn overs or anything, is really not as annoying as knitting on lace weight and knitting a bunch of yarn overs. I don't have to look at a chart. Like, there's no chart necessary for this. It's 4 easy to remember rows. So it really isn't that bad. So that's number 1. The other thing that's still on the needles, didn't get a lot of work done on it. I think I'm still in the same place. It's only been like 3 days.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday morning 3, really. Yeah.
3. It's only really been 3 days.
It's only been 3 days since we recorded last, so please bear with us on the knitting content. Next week will be better. Yeah.
This one is Brickless, and this is in Malabrigo sock yarn in the Soulless, S-O-L-I-S colorway. Soulless always sounds like soulless to me when I say it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in the middle of a row, so. So I could be done.
Like this.
I don't you?
I really do.
I like it a lot. I could be done with it. I did it. It calls for worsted weight. I did it in sock weight. I have this much left of the skein. It's like a 400-yard skein.
So let me see that again. I'll try not to It's kind of hard to see, but all right. So stretch your end of it. So yeah, you really could be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just making it to be a scarf. It's long enough now that I could stop, and I have a whole other skein of this that I might make a sockhead hat or something out of. This yarn is about 2 years old from the stash. I'm totally knitting from stash. I'm really proud of myself, and like I said, I have this much left, so I might finish this repeat using this yarn and whatever I need from the next skein, and then bind off. It called for 5 pattern repeats, and the pattern basically is garter, rib, and then this netting type lace. Let's see if I can show you. There you go. It's like a diagonal lace pattern.
I like it.
And when it blocks, it's going to be
gorgeous.
It's going to be big. I love it. A lot of people did it. There are some people, like we did, some people joined our little impromptu knit along. It was me and Jess from Stitched by Jess.
Did Diane cast on?
I don't think she did. But I was knit along. I know that a couple of other people, Nancy Marzi, the username Nancy Marzi is doing one. I think she's done with hers. I want to say Sock Bunny, but I am not 100% sure that's right. Or Bella Socks. Bella Socks is doing one. I knew it was something about socks. There are a few people that are doing them right now. I don't know. Some of them know that we did this little one. Some people might just be randomly knitting it and showing it on there. But it's been fun watching it. But I have done, I think I'm on my 7th repeat. I might be on my 8th repeat. And I did a few more repeats just to get more width to it because I'm using a thinner yarn. So it's been enjoyable. I like it. I would knit that pattern again. I highly recommend it. It's easily memorized. The only time I have to look at the pattern, there are points on the edge, like a sawtooth, and they're all different lengths. So every time I finish a section, I have to look to see. I think one of them is like cast off 11, and one of them is like 6, and one of them's 8 or something like that. Right. And I have to look to remind. I can never remember which one it is. I have to look. But other than that, I just knit. It's a good travel project. And that's all I have on the needles.
All right. Well, talk just a second more.
Sorry about that.
I mean, it's only garter, and it's just a scarf, but I'm almost done. So I am working on the striped cotton cowl, striped cowl.
I don't remember
what it's called.
It's on the show notes because
it's from the shop Purl Soho.
Yeah, I think it's called the Cotton
Striped Cowl. And they use higher end cotton than me.
And they use fancy thread. She used DMC.
I use DMC. I'm using just plain old
which works just fine.
Oh yeah. I'm using just plain old kitchen cotton, sugar and cream. And so I've actually, I want to say, at least this much since Friday.
Yeah, I like it.
To here. So I'm on an orange
Show it on the other side, because you can see all the strings on this.
Oh, can you?
You're showing the wrong?
Oh. Well, I've been weaving in...
Right,
yeah, I've been weaving in my ends as I go, and it's actually not so bad. So I really like the... Is it mottled?
Yeah.
The mottled color of the effect.
Marled. It's like marling. It's not quite as marled. It's not quite as...
It kind of looks like somebody took a crayon and just kind of colored...
Yeah, or like a pencil.
Yeah, like lightly. Just... I like the white and the blue. Like, I like how the white intersperses with the color of the yarn.
It's like marling, but it's not as regular as marling.
So I am... It's supposed to be 60 inches long. I'm more than 30 inches into it, and I looked at my pattern, and I have 7 color changes left to go.
Oh, cool. Is that you or me?
Yeah, it's reminding me of an appointment that I already canceled for Zach. Sorry, that was my stitch mark.
I'm like, wait, what? Is that me?
No, that's me, surprisingly so.
I'm surprised my mom hasn't called.
Well, we're at my house, that's why.
Yeah, but she knows my cell number.
I should hope she does. So
I told her it was Tuesdays.
45 inches.
Oh, that's great.
And so I'm going to do 60 and then seam up the ends. It's supposed to be a provisional cast on, but I didn't feel like dealing with a provisional cast on. And it says you don't have to. you can do it regularly if, you know, it just depends. It's a cowl. It's not going to be that big of a deal. So I am...
Why did I come up short?
I don't know.
Did I lose a stitch?
So this is what it looks like so far. I am really liking this. It's 400, pardon my gray hairs, 700 and something yards. I'll probably only use half of it and be able to make another scarf out of it. And use, I think, some of my fingering weight yarn. I wish I had thought of that first, because again, stash.
That would have been good.
Still smells like spiced pumpkin.
I have 17 stitches now. How did that even happen?
I don't know. How many are you supposed to have?
16.
Did you not?
I must have, like, accidentally knit. I'm just knit two together here.
Unfortunately, this is all I've been working on. I was working over the weekend on Sunday, and it was actually a rather busy day at my job that I really didn't get a chance to sit and knit. I was up and down quite a bit. It happens. And tomorrow starts a long day, which I will bring either this or another knitting project. May not be this, because this is actually, not that it's getting too big, but it is kind of getting too big. Not to be at the desk. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do my sock knitting there.
Yeah.
Which I have a sock, and I think I might do that. So, because this is getting too big, I actually took it out of my mushroom bag. My Knitting's My Bag, and I'm just using my plain old give pints to half pints.
I'm trying to figure out where
from Children's Hospital, which still smells like pumpkin spice.
I haven't
washed it.
I must have knit one of these.
I'm talking.
Sorry, I'm talking myself.
Sorry, no, that's all I have. I will probably have...
Sorry about that.
No, I'm only teasing. I'll probably have sock progress next week, because that's probably what I'll be bringing to work.
Well, that sounds good.
Because I really can't bring this to work.
It's really big.
It is. It's not something I can...
You could bring this to work.
I'm not doing that. But, yeah, so this is all I have. Sorry. Hopefully it will be finished by next week. The way this sucker moves.
Yeah.
I mean, it's exciting, because it's like, all right, how many rows do I have left of this color? What color's next? And I really like how she's been combining the colors.
Yeah,
I
and
really
it keeps
like
it interesting.
It does, and I'm not randomly picking the colors, although, now that I know how this works, it might not be a bad idea. Somebody, to do colors, stripes like that, you can, like, roll the dice.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Like, pick 6 colors and just roll the dice to tell you what you do next.
How many rows, what color.
Yeah.
Like, one dice to tell you what color, and one dice to tell you how many rows or ridges type of deal. This does say, like, 4.5 ridges. I don't do halves.
Right.
Because I want the ends all on one side.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, which you can do anyways, but I really don't want to have ends on. So I either, depending on the color, I either do, like, one extra or one less, depending on what was done previously.
Right, to give it that.
Yeah.
To keep it looking right.
Yeah. So that's all. That's all I got.
So that's all that we have on the dance card. I do not have any dates to write. Sorry. No,
because this is all I'm knitting on right now. Hopefully next week I will.
The best I can show you is 2 sleeves. That's all I got.
Hopefully I'll have something finished next week.
So
future dates.
No
rate your dates.
Rate your date. Future dates. I'm still planning to do. I'll show you the patterns really quickly.
Oh yeah.
I just haven't, because it's only been 3 days. I haven't had time to cast on anything else. My sister-in-law joined Ravelry, and she joined our group.
Does she knit?
She crochets.
Oh, okay. Does she crochet actively, or?
Yes. Okay. She actually just made the baby the cutest hat.
Is she gonna crochet from stash?
I don't know. She could be in our contest. All right. So that's Little Sweetheart knitting. Little Sweetheart hat. So cute. That I'm going to make for my niece. That was given to me by Lois from Knitting's My Bag, and it's designed by Melody's Makings. So I'm going to make that so that my niece has a Valentine's Day hat. And then I'm
going to make that soon.
Yeah, I know. I'll probably make it this week. I thought I was going to make it before today. I just got so involved in
it's only 3 days,
the sweater that I didn't. And then there is The Bees.
Oh, that's right.
Excuse me. By Alana Dakos, which is a baby headband. that has a little bee on it.
The way that picture looks, go down a little bit, doesn't it almost look like there's beads on that picture?
Oh yeah, but it's
the stitching of
the flight path of the bee is little. You can see it here. It's like little stitched on lines. So yeah, I'm gonna make that. That was given to me by Kim, who is Fredla. I don't know if that's how she pronounces it, but that's how I pronounce it. Sorry, I keep coughing. And that Elena Dacos is the designer of that, and I'm gonna knit probably the Valentine's Day hat first because it's almost Valentine's Day.
It really does need to have one on, but
Yeah, I know.
maybe a week before.
So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Those are my 2 future dates.
My future dates. Let's see. I need to finish the clapetee. I have a sock on the needles and I have a sweater on the needles. So those are my future dates to finish. Before I cast anything else on, and I really want to cast some things on, I want to do a stitch surfer because Diane Knittables has a great tutorial. And I really want to do that sock. That looks like an interesting sock. And
I have no desire.
I know you don't.
I'm not a sock knitter. I just never have enjoyed sock knitting that much.
And I want to do that. Not that I don't have enough sock
I
yarn.
think they're really cool looking, but I'm like, yeah.
I want to try at least one pair. I need to do slippers, although these are doing okay.
Well,
but...
and I just gave you a solid, so you could.
I have a couple of solids,
yeah.
but I don't know. I tend to like to keep my solids for scarves or shawls or something. But there's not really too many variegateds that would go well together.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I probably want to. Anyway, if you haven't checked out the Knittables podcast, do it because just check Knittables project page because she has knit like 12 pairs.
Yeah, she really has. She's on her second pair of the year already, and she said she's at the heel. I saw her on Instagram, I think, at the heel, and that she was going to do part 3 of the tutorial. So, and I checked the tutorials. I haven't watched them all the way because I want to watch them when I'm actually casting on. And so she's got 2 tutorials up, and they're close to an hour each, so it's very thorough.
Yeah.
And she's going to do the heel. So I haven't read the instructions, but I'm one who is not much on purling.
Right.
So once I read that you got to purl back and forth, I just put it aside. I mean, not that I can't do purling. I do purling very well. I'm just not a big fan of it. Although I say that every time, and then when I get into it, I'm like, yeah, it's not that bad. So I want to do the stitch surface. I have my cue that I'm doing. I want to do everything, actually.
Yeah. Another thing that's a future date, but it's not really a knitting project, is somebody asked if I would do film a tutorial of how to join the Zoom Loom squares. And I'm going to try to do that this week. I have some time this week because for the first time since before Christmas, both of my children are back at school every day this week, and I don't have to be somewhere for a medical appointment or
a hair appointment.
Hair appointment. So I have some spare time this week, and I will be able to film that. I have a stand for my camera so that I can film with my hands in front of it. So I will try to do that. So I know a couple of people picked up Zoom Looms who saw my blanket on the show or on Instagram. You are not going to be sorry.
Remember, if you watched last week's podcast and you won, send me your snail mail address so that I can send something out.
Yes.
I just realized somebody sent me theirs over the weekend and I told them I'd mail it out and I haven't yet. But it's just from,
From before?
No, from Friday's podcast. So it's only like a day or so late. So I apologize. I will get it out.
All right. So those are our future dates. No, Whirlwind Romance. It's only been 3 days. I didn't have a chance to get out my spinning wheel, but that was something I was going to do this afternoon, is do a little spinning.
Now, your goal is to spin once a day?
I'm going to try to spin at least 15 minutes a week.
That
is not a big goal. I just want to get back in the flow of spinning, and now that I don't have a dog at home, I am less afraid to leave my wheel down.
Oh, okay.
I was really afraid. My dog chewed wood. I was really afraid that he would chew one of my wheels.
Oh, right.
Although I am a little afraid that Oscar will chew the drive band, but it wouldn't be a huge deal to replace a drive band. It would, however, not be great if one of the treadles got chewed by a dog. So I keep them stored all the time, but I might leave one down for a while. The cats have never been that interested in the spinning wheel. So I'm going to try. My minimal goal is 15 minutes a day.
A day or a week?
A week. Sorry, a week. I mean, obviously it'll probably be longer than that, but it just seems like, yeah, I could take 15 minutes out of my day to spin, and so that's what I'm trying to do. Just on heartbreaks. Let's see. It's only been 3 days. My heartbreak. If you're on Instagram, my husband took my son to get his hair cut, and you have to understand.
It's a minor heartbreak.
It's just it's not really
an
that
annoyance.
big. Well, it's a little heartbreak. So my son is 7. He's almost 8, actually. And he did not have hair for, like, the first 2.5 years of his life. It, like, took forever for his hair to come in. He has really fine blonde hair. And I love to get him the little 1940s boy haircut where it's really tight on the sides, but it's long enough that you could part it and comb it back on the top. Little boy haircut. And I've been taking him to the same barber since he was old enough, since he had hair, when he was like 2.5. Eric the barber. We love Eric. Eric's awesome. We can walk to it from our house. And my husband took him last month, and I told him what I always tell Eric. I want it high and tight on the sides, and I want it long enough to part on the top. That's what I always say. And I said that to my husband. And I say, tell them you do not want a buzz cut. A buzz cut is when they take the razor and they just shave it right down. It's like a crew cut. A crew cut. It's all one length, and it's really short. Like, you have hair, but barely. So he comes back a month ago, and Jack's hair, the front it was not very well cut. Like, the sides were high and tight, but the top part of it was just not very good. And I said, Eric cut that? And he was like, no, it's this new guy. And I said, well, next time you take him in, don't let that guy cut his hair. Tell them that you want to wait for Eric. So this weekend he went in and he said, remind me what I have to say because I know he didn't like it. And I said, it's really simple. High and tight on the sides, long enough on the top that you can part it and, comb it or whatever. And tell them that you do not want a buzz cut. So apparently my husband went and told them a boy's regular, which is a buzz cut. They buzz cut my son's hair.
Well, it's funny you say that because we go to our local, we have lots of local barbers, but we like Fantastic Sam's in our area.
Yeah.
The hairdressers have been steady. They don't come and go. They've been the same hairdressers since the place opened. Yeah. So it's like our local salon for inexpensive money. And Max finally got his hair cut short. He was growing it long, and I'm like, really, you can't. Unfortunately, his hair is the type that gets greasy really quickly. Yeah. And I'm like, you need to get a cut. So I went into her and I said I wanted a boy's regular. And she goes, yeah, they don't do that anymore because boy's regular to someone else is different to people.
It's a whip cut.
She's like, how short do you want it here? How long do you want it up there? So it's just funny that.
They have it listed on their board. And it says boy's regular. And it says buzz cut. Apparently Jim did not read that sign. So yes, my son has a buzz cut. It looks like he lost all of his hair and is recovering from an illness. So, and he looks older with his hair like that. So it makes me kind of sad, but it'll grow out. It's not a big deal.
Now, do you get his hair cut once a month?
If I get it high and tight, longer on the top, I can usually go 2.5 months before he needs to get it cut again because he has no hair.
Yeah. See, my kids are probably every 3 months.
Yeah, it's about that. It's not. It takes a while for it to grow out long enough where you're like, oh gosh, you look like a ragamuffin child. So yeah, that's my little heartbreak.
Crushes and heartbreaks for me. I had 2 days off, except for I worked with my overnight. But that's okay. But I still
my eyes.
I know. Tomorrow I start my first 13-hour shift. Not exactly thrilled with it. I'm wondering if I did the right thing.
I think you did the right thing.
But Thursday, even though it's a long shift, I don't go in. I actually can stay up later tomorrow night, which is like a first.
Cool.
But today is going to be cooking day. I'm going to be making lasagna.
Good.
I'm going to be making fried rice. And I'm going to be making kielbasa with peppers and
This
onions.
is why I think you made the right decision. you're going to have regular hours, and that is going to make your life so much easier. Number one. Number two, you're not going to worry from week to week how many
hours
you're going to get. That's number two. And number three, even though you still have to go to bed a little bit early and get up a little bit early, you are doing most of your sleeping during the night, which is so much healthier for you.
Well, I've been doing that for more than a month anyways, because I've only been working one overnight shift.
I know, but you really need to not be working any overnight shifts. And I am not even lying to you. If you don't quit that job next month, like you said, within a month from today, I am going to call and pretend to be you, and I'm going to quit. All right, so that's crushes and heartbreaks.
Yeah, it's only been 3 days.
Baubles and bling. I got nothing because it's only been 3 days. And in those 3 days, I did not buy anything or get anything.
I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be very little baubles and blings for me because I am on my yarn diet. I'm not going to purchase anything. Purchase. Keyword purchase. If things are gifted to me, like that skinny yarn, that's different. But I am not planning on purchasing anything unless it is to complete a project, which I have enough yarn that there should be no reason to do that.
Well,
so baubles and blings is going to be very little. The most maybe is a needle. That, but that doesn't count. I'm talking yarn.
Well, I'm not really on a yarn diet. My goal is to knit from my stash instead of buying stuff for projects this year to focus on that. But I haven't said to myself that I can't buy anything. I'm just, I guess it's really hard to say what I mean. If I want to do a project, I am not going to buy yarn for a new project. I'm not going to say, ooh, I really want to knit that. I am going to look in my stash, and if I don't have the yarn in my stash, I'm going to look for a different project. I am not falling into that rabbit hole where I see something on Ravelry, I love it, and I'm like, ooh, that would look really good in X yarn, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to say, ooh, what do I have in my stash? And if I don't have the yarn in my stash, I'm going to put it in my queue, and I'm going to pick something else that I do have the yarn for. So that I don't, because what's happened to me is basically I buy yarn because I like it, and then it goes in the stash. And then I see a project that I want to do, and I buy yarn for the project, and I never look in my stash. But then a lot of the time, I don't get the project done, and then that goes into my stash. So now I have stash yarn plus project yarn that's earmarked.
Well, and I think if you queue it up and you wait it, sometimes you look at it and say, I really don't want to do that.
I really don't want to do that.
I'm glad I didn't buy the yarn. Now me, I'm not, she knows, I hardly ever buy yarn in the first place. When I look at yarn, I said, oh, that's pretty. And then I think, oh, but I have this in my stash and I have this in my stash that I've yet to use.
Yeah.
So it's not like this is going to be really difficult for me because it's not.
No, because you don't buy that
much. I don't buy that
much
anyways. I will say I do see some of Steve's dramatic knits yarn and I'm like, step away.
Yeah. Because
he's got some really nice colors, but I'm like, step away. I have enough stuff in my stash that I can do without it. So,
So
it's not going to be tough. I'm just telling you right now.
I'm not on a yarn diet, but I am trying to bust stash. So I'm only going to buy yarn if I need it. And it's already come up. I'm knitting a wedding shawl for a friend of mine, and I will need to buy a skein of lace yarn for that.
You would have to buy for that.
I would have to buy for that. So that is, when I say that I'm stash busting, it does not mean that I am on a yarn or fiber diet. I do want to try to use what I have. I want to avoid the situation where I buy something for a new project. That is what I am not going to do this year. If I see a new project and I don't have the yarn already, I'm going to queue it up for when I've gotten rid of some of my stash yarn. That's what I'm doing.
I'm going to say another goal too for me.
Yeah.
I have to at least knit a skein of Blue Moon socks that rock, or Blue Moon, at least once every other month. I have to at least knit with 6. At least with 6 skeins this year, if not more. Yeah. Because it's getting out of hand. You can't even say that I'm saving for it because, there's nothing to save for. No. I got enough. I got enough for at least, if I was to knit socks with it, which I will, some of it, but 30 pairs?
Yeah, I think
at least, if not more, because, I don't use a full skein for each pair.
That's right.
And I could make, probably 40 with all the scraps, make scrap socks.
I know, that'd be cool.
So, that's my other goal, is to at least knit with Blue Moon at least once every other
I think
month.
we've really transitioned into gossip and innuendo
Yeah, I'd
at this
say
point,
that
so
too.
let's just call it gossip and innuendo.
Oh, you want to do your book review first?
Yes, my book review is one of the books that we were given by Cooperative Press. Actually, I'm just going to start over when I get to it. Oh, that's handy. This little scroll bar.
Oh, you never seen that?
I never noticed it.
Oh.
Okay. I am doing a book review of Hank and Gracie Save the Day by Stacy Klaus, and the illustrations are by Molly Wade. And it is a children's story.
It's cute.
It's a cute children's story. I think it's really great. One of the things that I like about it, Hank and Gracie are two West Highland Terriers. And people who know me know I love West Highland Terriers. I think that they're super cute. And this is the real Hank and Gracie. They're cute. So there's a little thing about West Highland Terrier.
Sorry.
And this is why we decided
paying attention.
This is why we decided not to get a West Highland Terrier. Without structure in their lives, they can become aggressive or snappy.
Yeah.
And since I just had a dog that
yeah, you don't need that.
Was biting people. So anyway, the story, the pups are cousins, but they act like friends. This is what they look like playing in their house. And it's a nice little story about how they save a baby bird with their friend Rembrandt, who is a Scottish Terrier. And the cute thing about Hank and Gracie is they live in a yarn store. And Rembrandt lives in an art gallery. And they save a baby bird by using a donation blanket from the yarn store for Project Linus.
Oh.
And there's information in the book about Project Linus. And so it's based on a Chinese proverb. They have a little Chinese proverb. Listen not merely to what is said, but to the tone of voice in which it is said. The dogs hear the bird chirping, and they know that something is wrong. And so they bark to alert the store owners, and that's how they save the baby bird. And the knitting store owner makes a felted nest so the baby birds can't fall out. One of the things I like about this book, it's a nice bedtime story, and the nice thing about it is you could read it off of your e-reader. But it does come with some coloring pages on the PDF that you could print out for your kids to color. And I like it because they can color them many times. Once you color them in, it's a PDF. You could print out more. So there's one where you can design the toys for dogs. You can color them different things. And then there's an H with all sorts of, there's an H and a G, letters of Hank and Gracie. I'll just show you the G because I've scooted away. Where there are all sorts of objects in there. You color the whole thing, and then you circle the items that start with G. And on the H, you circle the items that start with H. And then you can help Rembrandt paint a picture by drawing a picture on this little, what do you call
Easel.
that? Easel. Gosh. So, and then you can go to hankandgracie.com. Hank and Gracie is one word.com to have even more adventures with Hank and Gracie. And then the thing that's enjoyable if you're the Grammy or the mommy reading this, or the daddy, I guess, if you're a knitting daddy, is you can get patterns for knitted and felted toy balls for the dog.
Or crocheted or knitted.
They have a crocheted one. It tells you how to put a crocheted edge on a flannel blanket for Project Linus, and where you can send them so that they will go to Project Linus. And then it tells you how to knit and make this felted birdhouse that you could hang, you and your kid can hang it in the backyard. And there are knitting abbreviations and crocheting abbreviations in the back. And the lady that wrote it, Stacy Klaus, owns the Knitting Nest, which is a yarn shop in Austin, Texas. So I thought that was a cute book, and if you want a chance to win a PDF copy of it for yourself, I will make a thread, and you can post in the thread who you'd be reading the book to. So that'll be ready for this week.
Okay, and I have a book to review, just in time, because I just finished. It is called, let me get there, Dishcloth Diva, or it's by Dishcloth Diva Knits On by Deb Buckingham. This is actually her second book of dishcloths. This is what the cover looks like. And it was given to me in PDF by Cooperative Press. And what I like about this is her second book. Her first one, she focused on the cotton for the dishcloths. This one, she's focusing on wool. And she tells you that, first off, this is the table of contents. So when you touch a picture, it goes directly to the pattern that you touched. All the names are named after women. And they're old names, like Lucille Bell, Nellie, Ella May, Mildred, Opal, Pearl, Hazel. They're all old classic names, and I love that. She focuses on wool because at the end of the book, she does a lapgan with the squares, and I think that's a great idea. Some of these squares is not something that I would knit for a dishcloth, but that's because they're a little fancy. They're a little fancy, involved. But I mean, obviously, if you wanted to try it out, for like you're doing a spa,
like a special gift.
Yeah, there's some really nice ones. One of our favorite is Ethel. And that's this. It's just based on some...
That one I do for a while.
Carried over slip stitches and carrying the yarn either forward or backwards. But she really focuses on the wool of the project, and she uses Knit Picks wool in the Andes, which is nice because it's not expensive wool.
So if you're going to do a lapgan, which is pretty big, you can... It's an affordable wool.
Yeah, there's 16 squares to this, and obviously if you were to do a lapgan, you could do like...
You could do as many as you wanted.
Well, and you can do, you don't have to do all 16 for the lapgan. But she talks about, how wool is elastic, it's flame retardant, it's warm even when it's wet. My husband and I have this argument all the time about that. But it's a really nice book. The instructions are fairly simple. Very, it's square. You cast on 40 stitches or give or take. And there might be a variation. If anyone's done a dishcloth, it's pretty basic. And I like this because I know a lot of people do, at one point there was like Afghan square swaps.
Yeah.
And I want to say Silly Fruit on Instagram is doing a square a month. No, a square a week.
Yes.
So that she's doing an Afghan, which I think is a great idea. It's really nice. This book is really well written. I love the pictures. The pictures are crystal clear, and you can easily tell that the squares were made with cotton just because I knit with cotton a lot.
Yeah, I
think... And the instructions on how to do the lapgan and stuff. It's a nice, well put together book.
What I like about it is that you could knit a single project from this really easily. And there are some really special ones, so if you were doing a really special gift, you could make it fancy. But it's also great for you to knit, like you could knit a big project with multiple squares or all different squares or whatever. I like it that it's versatile like that. It's not just a dishcloth book. Right. And
it's called Dishcloth, but where she focuses on wool, and that basically she is making this book for two different purposes.
Yeah.
Either dishcloths or a lapgan. And I'm sure some of these patterns you could probably like just continue and make a scarf.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a nice cable-y looking one. Gotta find it. Virginia, that would look very nice as a scarf.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's like I said, it's a good book. It's 54 pages, and are we giving this one away free?
Yep, and that one is also.
We'll have a separate thread.
Tell us which dishcloth you like.
Which
the
favorite
best.
square is your favorite? Yeah, which one's your favorite?
Which one's your favorite?
Opal's pretty too. That's more elaborate.
I liked a lot of them. I thought a lot of them were really pretty.
This would be nice for a washcloth, not like a dishcloth, but a washcloth where it would...
Right.
With a nice little bar of soap or something. Like, that's the one when I'm thinking of a special gift for, like, a spa. Or, say, maybe an expectant mother. You want to give something to them instead of the baby.
Right.
That's me. But, very nice book. I really enjoy it and looking through it. And I really want to try that slip stitch one.
I know, I like that. And it makes it, instead of doing grandmother's favorite, the standard one, it gives you kind of a bunch of different patterns to try out to, like, kick it up a notch.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's versatile. So
yeah.
It's a good looking book.
So I'll make a thread for that, and just tell us which one of these dishcloths you would knit if you win the book. So that'll be 2 giveaways for next week, and we will pick a winner from each thread, and each winner will win a copy of the PDF book from Cooperative Press. And thank you to Cooperative Press for letting us join their blog tour for the books. And we will be doing another review next week. And I think next week we're going to do Doomsday Knits.
Okay, that's good.
So, and then the week after that, we're going to do the Subversive Socks.
Yeah, I was looking through that one this week. It's interesting.
I know. It's not everybody's taste.
No, it's not. There's a lot of vulgarity, I guess you can call it. And I mean, you don't
we might have to put a thing on our show
warning
saying that there is adult content because there are some swear words. But we'll I guess we'll just do a little warning before we do that book so that if you're not somebody who wants to hear that part of it, you can just not watch that section of the show, and that's great. Because I know it's not to everybody's taste. No. But some of the projects, I think, would work for everybody. So be sure to check that out. That'll be in 2 weeks. So this is a really long episode. I don't know. I might not have to cut that much out.
No, probably not.
All right.
And on that note, have a good week. Thank you for watching us.
Yep.
Knit with Heart.
Bye.